Welcome to the Albuquerque Journal's Tech Outlook podcast. CNM is truly one college with infinite possibilities in tech and data sciences. CNM offers programs where everyone can learn about software, apps, or how to build websites. You can also choose from AI programs and machine learning, the Internet of Things, and so much more. CNM, one college, infinite possibilities, and the proud sponsor of the Tech Outlook podcasts.
Hi, welcome to Tech Outlook, a new podcast from the Albuquerque Journal's business desk. The goal of our podcast is to invite in local business and community leaders who are using different forms of technology to spur economic development in the Albuquerque metro area in order to share and hear their stories. I'm Ryan Botel, the business editor at the Albuquerque Journal, and I'll be hosting our first episode. Our guest today is Tracy Hartzler, the president of Central New Mexico Community College. Hartzler started as CNM's president in 2020. Prior to that, she was the college's vice president for finance and operations and has been at CNM since 2015. President Hartzler, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself to members of our audience who might not be as familiar with you?
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you for the invitation. My name's Tracy Hartzler. I'm the president. I'm the sixth president of CNM. I've been with the college, as you noted, for quite a while. But I've had a long appreciation of CNM and its foundation and also CNM ingenuity, both as a former legislative staffer who was been able to help members support the college, but also then up close and personal, watching great leaders really serve incredible learners and employers in the community. And we've been doing that now for 60 years.
So the name of our show is Tech Outlook, and the word tech is such a big category. What does tech mean to CNM, and what is the college doing to prepare its students for tech-oriented jobs in the coming years?
Sure. Well, CNM, as I mentioned, we were founded in 1964, and we were founded as Albuquerque Technical Vocational Institute. So technology has been at the center of what we believe and what we've been committed to as our mission, to be able to help individuals use all the technology of the day to help them do their jobs and to serve their community and their employers. So what does it mean today? We've certainly branched out as a community college, as the largest undergraduate institution in the state. More than half of our students are in our technical trades, in our healthcare, education, and other pre-professional programs. But also, we have substantial programming in both our traditional academic side, with a number of computer-based computer systems programs, degrees, certificates. But we also do a great deal of work with CNM Ingenuity and our coding boot camps and our other types of short, intensive programming around technology, whether it's in cybersecurity, whether it's in coding, other types of programming, digital media and design, to help all of our students excel and use the technology they have at hand. I would also say that even our students, in particular our students in our other programs, particularly our traditional liberal arts programs, they clearly use technology in what they do, whether it's in data analytics and data visualization. And so I would say technology really is embedded in all of our programs, and it's been a challenge for all of our instructors and our faculty and staff to be able to leverage the technology we have to make sure that they are up to date and capable of being able to teach in our class and to teach learners to excel and use the technology of the day. But we really appreciate the partnerships of our employers here throughout the region, who have lent their time and talent, expertise, equipment to help our learners and our faculty and instructors excel in helping to make sure that they have a qualified responsive workforce. So we have technology embedded in our programming, but certainly it's been the core of who we are for 60 years.
We at the Journal have covered several major business announcements related to advanced manufacturing in just the last year, such as the Maxion's announced investment. What is CNM doing to meet the demand that those companies have for workers?
Sure. Well, we had the great advantage of working with Intel and a number of other large employers here over the last number of decades. So when we took that formula of being able to form a quick response team in our CNM Workforce and Community Success Division, in addition to a number of our programmatic experts from C&M Ingenuity. So combined internally to be able to help Maxion identify the skills and competencies they needed for their workforce when they come here, the 1,000+ employees who are going to be coming here, what those employees need to know and be able to, the tasks they need to be able to perform. So we've worked with them on the programming side to help develop responsive, I'd say, short-term certificates that also lead to degrees in other specialties or expertise. But we've been able to work with the employer directly to meet their needs, working closely on program development, program delivery, and also on learner recruitment, because it's very important that not only we try to recruit and enroll students and eventual employees here in central New Mexico, but really throughout the state and the region. So we've been able to work with them incredibly closely. And like I said, that's a service that we provide and an approach that we provide to all of our employers, not only the Maxions and not only the Intels, but a number of our smaller businesses and startups. So we work very closely with employers to identify the competencies and skills and individual needs that will help them make that business grow and produce, whether it's solar panels or code for data analytics. So work very closely with them on programming then to be able to provide that programming and then update it when it's needed, because we certainly know that the skills you learn today and the techniques you may learn today must continue to evolve as technology evolves. So we continue to work with our employer partners and our instructors to make sure that our students are getting the most relevant, timely, up-to-date curriculum they can, and to be able to provide those learners with relevant work experiences at Maxion or at other employers as well, so they can test the learning that they have in the classroom or the lab.
Mm-hmm. And there's this term that I'm not familiar with called mechatronics. Is that a little bit what you're talking about with trying to meet the needs of those employers? Can you just explain that for us and how C&M deploys that?
Sure. Mechatronics is a fancy term for the combination of mechanics, computing, electrics, and electronics together to help I'd say implement a practice or a system. So we often use the word automation or robotics. I would say it puts the advanced in advanced manufacturing. So it's what are the basic skills that are in mechanical engineering and electronics and software and programming to help manage the robots at Amazon's warehouse or help them control their facility or their inventory. It's a way of bringing, I would say, a basic technical literacy to almost any of the skilled trades that we have. If you think about the Nest thermostat that you have, someone who installs that or installs an electric heat pump, you have to know wiring, you have to know controls and systems to be able to do that work. So we're seeing an automation or a level of automation or technology advancement that is required in many, many fields. The mechatronics program was specifically designed in response to the requests that Amazon had here, not only in Albuquerque, but really across the country. So we've been able to provide a mechatronics program to them and to their employees. Much of it is online. Mm-hmm. And then there's a hands-on demonstration component that we're also developing in the second part of that coursework. So we've been able to, again, work with an employer to identify the skills and needs that they need for their employees, been able to design and provide that programming, assess whether the individual learner develops the skills and competencies that are needed by the employer, and then the employer can hire that individual. Mm-hmm. So we really see it from ideation to completion and employment. Here, completion is really employment with that employer, and then, of course, pathways through that employer as well.
And you mentioned that Amazon maybe helped spur that type of curriculum at C&M, but I would imagine that many companies need that type of worker.
Correct. So as I mentioned, in many of the industries, you're seeing a basic knowledge of welding, electronics, programming, software programming, wiring, to be able to solve problems. And it doesn't matter if that's those same components or similar skills and competencies are needed by Sandia Labs and certain programs that we have with them, or Intel or other, or Maxion, Blue Halo. I can go down the list. There are a number of local employers that certainly value those skills as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I recently had the opportunity to attend Ski Lift Pitch, which was hosted by CNM Ingenuity, which was a fantastic event to cover. And it just seemed like every one of those companies that was pitching investors had some tech element to it. Can you just talk about CNM Ingenuity and CNM and what they do to support local startups?
Sure. Well, we're excited that CNM Ingenuity, which is approaching its 10th year, has evolved to, again, be the economic engine for CNM in the college. It's able to be responsive, providing quick in-time training opportunities or workforce development programming for where the college may take a while longer to develop those programs. The reason why the programming and workforce development is I'd say one part of an equation, which is our small business development and their work with small employers, because we know that entrepreneurs that are starting out, we know they're going to need a workforce. So we want to make sure that we're able to design programs and provide the technicians that many of those small businesses need, or being able to work hand in hand. So we support, CNM Ingenuity supports entrepreneurs not only with a trained workforce when it's needed, but certainly with some of that funding, and that's what you experienced at the Ski Lift Pitch, when there are funds at the table and we're trying to pair up entrepreneurs with funders. And again, the whole goal is to be able to really grow that New Mexico talent and to really grow those businesses that stay here.
Mm-hmm. Now, CNM also has a venture fund, which I find kind of interesting. Can you tell me what's the history and goals of that fund? And is that something that is typically found at a community college?
It's not typically found at a community college. Again, I think what is amazing about CNM and our leadership certainly over the last decades has been to see a need and we fill it. So with this entrepreneurial work, and we've recognized that we need to provide the workforce that our employers need. We need to grow the number of employers we have and businesses we have here in New Mexico. One way to do that is to raise funds and to provide entrepreneurial support for those businesses that are growing, whether it's in logistics or finance or planning. So what we've done with Ingenuity is to create a venture fund. ABQID was a company and a fund that merged into CNM Ingenuity a few years ago. So we are actually on our second venture fund now, and we host a number of pitches or events. Balloon Fiesta, we have a balloon pitch. We also have the Ski Lift Pitch. We have a number of ways to bring then entrepreneurs in connection with funders, but it is a distinct effort that a community college has, but certainly that CNM has. And again, it's typical of how we are solution-oriented, agile, try to meet a local need, and frankly are a little bit courageous in taking a step and trying something or experimenting to see if it works. And I dare I say the Ingenuity and the Venture Fund has been one of those ideas that's really worked.
If there's a company listening and they know that in the coming years they're going to have a certain type of worker that they want to be hiring, how would they maybe interface with CNM to make sure that you're providing the curriculum that they're interested in, and what kind of programs do you have for that? Sure.
So first, I want to say we have great relationships with our local chambers of commerce, certainly the statewide Chamber of Commerce, and certainly the Albuquerque Economic Development Alliance. The Albuquerque Economic Development Alliance.
Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm on their board, so there we are. But I would say it's been we work closely with our Chamber of Commerce and area and our other economic development organizations so that we have a good sense of what employers coming into the region are looking for or businesses looking for, in addition to helping current members and current businesses identify what those needs are. So again, because we get this quantitative data from and input from our local business recruitment and business development efforts, we have a good sense of what's needed. For an employer who's looking for programming and employees, they come to CNM, one through those external channels, as I just mentioned, but also they can certainly go to www.cnm.edu/workforce/community, because we have set up a division called the the Division of Workforce and Community Success, trying to create a one-stop shop for all employers if they want to participate in a range of activities. It could be about programming and developing programming. It can be connecting with learners through a job fair or visiting classrooms and recruiting directly. It can certainly be also providing direct job positions or opportunities for our learners, but also we've been expanding our work to include and to distribute funds to help employers hire our learners while they're still in class. So because of generous support from the state legislature and the governor, we're spending $4 million a year for the next 3 years in support of employer-based and employer-subsidized wages and learning opportunities for a number of our learners. So there's a range of services we can provide, but we also don't expect new employers or our businesses to understand and navigate our bureaucracy and our administration. So we really try to make sure it's sort of a one door, and then we do all the work, one door to access services, and then we do all the work behind the scenes to try to best meet the employer needs. But rest assured, there are many avenues for us to be able to use a couple of tried and true formulas for how we can provide employers with access to programming and ways to tweak the programming, like we mentioned mechatronics, or what may work for Amazon doesn't work for someone else. So how we can build off of what we currently have in addition to design programming that's responsive. So we do that frequently. And again, we'd really try to make sure it's really easy for businesses to access those services.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to a little bit of the student experience at CNM, can you tell me a little bit about competency-based education and how that's different than a more traditional academic education, and how CNM's incorporating that into its curriculum?
Sure. Well, it's many of us who have gone to school have spent time, whether it's in 12 or 15-week semesters, and we meet a couple times a week, and we learn material. We test whether we know that material through labs or tests, and that's generally how we show our competencies. Competency-based education is a different way of delivering, I would say, just in time and shorter sessions for learning that allow the learner, the student, to develop the competency, the skill, to be able to demonstrate that they have a show of not just basic understanding, but mastery of that skill or competency that they can then take out to the workplace or to their onto the next program or their next credential. So really, it's a way of providing relevant, timely instruction and the ability for the learner to demonstrate that they have learned that skill or what we've said they would learn by completing tasks and other assignments. But it's a way of validating a learner experience, and again, that learner being able to show and demonstrate to an employer that they have a mastery of a skill, and that the employer values that skill. So it's a different way than saying, here's my transcript with a traditional set of grades and scores. It's being able to show what the learner has gained in their mastery. So it's a little bit different, and it really does allow, particularly, I'd say, adult learners and others who are looking to retrain quickly. They may have years of experience, but they're looking for a specific or a list of specific skills that their employer needs. We try to deliver that in a way that's at the learner's pace through a set period of time, but then allows them enough time and feedback to be able to learn a skill, demonstrate it, and then go back out to the workplace. Mm-hmm. So a little bit different than, I'd say, seat time.
Sure. Well, and is that an emphasis that CNM is doing, and is that part of a national trend to put an emphasis on shorter-term skills-based training as opposed to the traditional higher education experience?
Well, we realize how important time is to both employers and learners. No one has time to waste. We have an incredible workforce demand. We know that there's many more jobs, and we have individuals who can fill them. So my job, or our job at CNM and Ingenuity, is to be able to provide learners with a quick, quality experience to be able to gain the skills and competencies they need to get in the workplace. And the employers want that as well. And they also know, both learners and employers know, that these relationships can be built over time. So it's really what is necessary and beneficial to have someone demonstrate an interest and a competency quickly to get into the workplace and then continue to develop those skills and competencies. Honestly, it's a national movement. C&M has worked in this in the past, but we've realized because of the time crunch that we're all in, that we need to advance and we need to move our work differently. We need to meet our learners where they are. And really, the pandemic changed so much of how I think all of us deliver education and what our students expect of us, that we have to go and show our learners what's of value, why it's immediately relevant, why this isn't just a one-and-done skill, that it's a way to gain entry into a path or or a pathway in a good quality position, and maybe with a good quality industry or a high quality industry, and then to continue with their learning. So we look at this as a way of extending the relationship with our learners and with our employer partners, but also doing so in a way that's very respectful of time and talent. And knowing that we were talking about this earlier, that technology demands that we evolve our programming and our skills, and we're refreshing all the time. So we know this is also a continuous journey, and so we try to make sure we're able to provide just what's needed at the moment to be able then to continue to refine and evolve as technology changes, industry changes. So.
Okay. And Tracy, so the name of our show is Tech Outlook, and we're trying to look at what's coming down the pike in the Albuquerque metro area. So as president of C&M, what excites you about what is coming to Albuquerque in the future in terms of tech?
Well, I will say that in higher education in general, we're just experiencing a tremendous transition. And so what's exciting about tech and where C&M fits in is that we are continuing our 60-year history of working and being able to take advantage of technology advancements to be able to lead in providing the training and the education that's needed to help leverage technology that's coming to us, and then trying to meet employer needs. So it's been great to grow with Intel, and it'll be amazing to grow with Maxion as they start and grow here. So what does that mean? It means that we're looking at quantum computing, so being able to take hardware and algorithms and in our partnerships with Sandia and a quantum tech lab, a tech hub, to be able to build a lab that's going to allow our learners and our researchers, probably side by side, to be able to solve problems. That's incredibly exciting. To be able to use AI in all of our fields of study, in our programs, whether it's in our English and psychology and business programs to help write and analyze material more quickly, to then be able to solve problems more quickly, right? Try and exercise judgment more quickly in real life situations is important, just as it is in our skilled trades programs. So we know the technology is changing everything that we do at all levels at the institution. So for us, that's pretty exciting. So I mentioned quantum, certainly cybersecurity, and a number of the other elements that AI will be changing quantum. So, there are just a number of areas. But I think the overall importance is, while there are changes in the technology sector and industry, I think what I've highlighted is that every skill really is being affected by technology. And so there's a tremendous need, I'd say for C&M particularly, to be able to figure out how to best help our students and our learners meet the demands that are in the workplace.
Okay. And President Hartzler, the last question I always ask whenever I'm in an interview is there a question that I should have asked that I didn't?
I appreciate the questions you've asked. And I believe that I've highlighted, I think what's most interesting about C&M is that we're agile. We really try our best to meet a need. If we get it right the first time, fantastic. And if we don't, we're going to keep going back and iterating to see what we can get right and better meet our learners and our employers. And I think that in this technology sector, I can't think of a better skill set to have as an institution, and I'd say an ethos to have, whether it's at Ingenuity or the college, to be able to, again, work with our learners and our community partners in ways that are always about bringing meaningful and impactful change to our community here in central New Mexico. So I don't think there's a question you've asked, but I'm excited that we're part of this conversation and certainly look forward to all that comes.
Great. Well, Tracy, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us today.
Sure.